Hi, and welcome to Light for Life. If you are returning to our channel, thank you. We value and appreciate you. Our aim is to shine a bright light on your inner splendor and assist to connect you to your magnificence via what we intend to be enlightened sharing, potentially educational, and hopefully entertaining information, as well as encouragement for new perspectives. If you are new here, you are most welcome. We do hope that you will find our content highly beneficial and enjoyable. I am Liz. I'm a science of mind practitioner and a teacher of various healing modalities applicable to all aspects of the self and this life.
And I am Lori. I am a holistic wellness researcher and educator. Welcome to Connections with Liz and Lori. We use the space to offer our perspective regarding multiple different topics that we certainly hope you find inspiring.
That's actually what drew me to you, were your beautiful posts about our infinite power and really about love. There isn't a lot of love on social media, as I imagine you can agree with. There just isn't a lot of love that's put out there, and I love your content because you really lead with the heart. So thank you for that. Let's start with, just telling us a little bit more about you, your journey through life. Mostly what I do is try to give people solutions that they might not know about for healing. And since you've had quite a journey, you've had some trauma, you've had some physical stuff, you've lived a little bit. What would you say to somebody who's on their healing journey, who is looking for solutions, looking for answers, looking for ways to heal on a higher level? We can always treat the body, right? But if we don't treat the spirit, if we don't address the thoughts, if we don't address the emotions, how far are we really going to get? So what would
Precisely.
you and struggling maybe to find their healing, and they're just not feeling good, they're just not finding the solutions, they're just not quite hitting the target?
Well, the first thing that I would say is that it's so critical to understand that it's all connected. Absolutely nothing that we do in any realm of our lives at all, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, psychically, it doesn't matter which realm we work in, it's going to affect all of the others. So the first and most important thing to understand is not just that connection, but that there are literally a million different modalities that will work for a million different people. There is no right or wrong way. And your body, your innate intelligence, your soul and your heart will guide you to that modality that is right for you. We will connect in automatically with what our level of consciousness is. And if that level is at a place where it is manifesting things in our lives that we don't desire, some form of weakness, some form of distortion, some kind of damage, illness, unhappiness, states of being that we don't choose, recognize that all of that is a frequency, and you have the ability to change it. Find a modality that resonates with you. It doesn't matter where you start. You want to start physically, start emotionally, start mentally, start spiritually. It doesn't matter where you begin or what method you use. As long as it's resonating with you and you believe in it, it's going to work for you.
Very interesting. And you're right. I always joke with people, show me the cutoff point where mental health begins and physical health ends, and where spiritual health is, on the body. Show me where that exists, because it doesn't. There is no cutoff point. There is no separation.
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the hardest things that people have a time wrapping their mind around, because we think of physical health as physical health. And then we separate, especially in the United States, we separate mental health and physical health. They're two completely different hospitals. They're completely different approaches. And it's very bizarre to me. I used to work in a psychiatric hospital, and I used to think, can't you see that this person is toxic? maybe if they felt better physically, their mind would work better and they wouldn't have so much anxiety. They wouldn't have so much depression. They would, and
Yeah,
perhaps, a lot of these bigger mental health issues like schizophrenia and bipolar are, they're finding they are directly linked to the microbiome.
yeah,
So yes, physical health is important, but we also have to consider how many unhealthy thoughts are supporting our illness, right? Like you said,
absolutely.
whatever you believe is what's going to manifest.
Yes, and people don't understand how deep that goes.
And I don't
And
think people
that is part of
understand
my
how.
passion. Yeah, that's part of my passion of teaching people to understand how deep that truly goes. I take the position that nothing is ever physical in origin.
Mhm.
Maybe 0.1% of physical things are caused by physical things and physical things alone. The physical is always a result. The physical is a consequence. The physical is the densest form of energy that
Yes.
has now materialized. So it's always a result. It's not the cause. So we can change things on a physical level and we will derive some benefit from that. But it is the least powerful thing that we can do because all of our other energy is coming from higher power centers. And that will filter down to the body and be so much more powerful, especially the more holistic it is in actually achieving that healing in the body.
I can feel the power of that. I hope people listening can feel the power of that because we don't have any idea how truly powerful we are.
Yes.
So
I mean, I sat,
go ahead.
carry on, sorry.
There's a little bit of a delay and I think that's messing with us a little bit. I was going to say, where do you start? Like if you're feeling a little funky or if you're feeling a little off, where do you start?
Well, it depends which area I'm feeling that distortion from. And I've had a 20-year practice of all the various modalities that I follow. So I don't actually want to answer the question with what I would personally do. What I would advise people to do is that you need to understand how you function as a human being. What is your primary go-to modality? So, in other words, would you consider yourself primarily a highly emotional person? Or would you consider yourself more intellectual? Are you more kinetic? You do things with your body. It all comes down to knowing yourself and understanding how you function. So if you are highly intellectual, then generally you are going to gravitate towards things where you use your mind, things where you're going to learn and then apply what you have learned, things where you use your own brain power and your positive thinking mechanisms. But if you're more emotional, then that's not going to resonate with you. You can repeat affirmations 10,000 times and not feel any better because you need to actually address the emotions emotionally. So, which modality and where you begin depends on each individual person. And there is no right or wrong. Thoughts influence the way we feel. The way we feel influences our thoughts. The state of our body influences how good we feel emotionally and how well we can think, how positive we are being. It's all interconnected. So it doesn't matter where we start. But the important thing is that eventually we get to a place holistically where we're doing it all, where we are addressing all of our issues as the entirety of the being that we are, using all our available energy and all of our available power.
I love this. I can't tell you how much I love this. I just love this. So now I'm curious, how did you start with this work? How did you learn this work? What
I
wow.
started when I was given a terminal diagnosis at the age of 29. I had been very unwell for 2 years, and the doctors could not find what was wrong with me. I went for test after test, went to different doctor after different doctor. I knew something was terribly, terribly wrong with me. I was bleeding rivers non-stop I was anemic. I couldn't eat. I was in so much pain. And I kept going for all these tests that kept coming back. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. And medically, the reason for that is because the form of cancer that I had was so rare, so advanced, and so aggressive that the tests were canceling each other out.
Wow.
So where, for example, a blood test would have picked up a certain level of the disease, because it was so progressed, it came back negative. And then where like a pap smear, for example, would have picked up a different version of the disease, the blood test was canceling that out. So everything kept coming back saying, I'm fine. It's like, I am not fine. I'm palpably not fine. You can see it. Something is wrong. So by the time they diagnosed me, it took 2 years. By the time they diagnosed me and they realized, oh dear, this is actually cancer, they gave me 3 weeks to live.
Wow.
I had 3 various forms of cancer. One was a football-sized tumor in my birth canal that had over 100 filaments or fingers that had wrapped themselves around everything, wrapped around my spine, wrapped around my spleen, my pancreas, my bladder, my uterus, my kidneys, my liver, my lungs. These filaments were everywhere. And it was already stage 4, and it was aggressive and invasive.
Wow.
I also had stage 4 cervical cancer, and I had stage 3B metastasized bladder cancer. So by the time they managed to figure all that out, which they literally only did on an operating table, when they had eventually found this tumor that essentially my body had been in labor with for 2 years, been actually trying to give birth to this tumor that was hanging onto all my organs.
Right.
And they figured, because all the cancer tests were negative, that they could just remove it. And so they had me on an operating table and I bled out. They managed to bring me back. And that was when they realized, oh, oopsie, this is actually cancer. And they gave me 3 weeks because my kidneys were going to fail. And it was so advanced that no one was willing to touch it, to even try to treat me. So I was 29 and I could have accepted my fate. I could have said, oh, okay, because I was literally given a prescription for morphine and told to go home and die. I was told to make my peace, say my goodbyes. That's it. It's over.
Wow.
I could have accepted that. I could have believed them. And that's the point.
Yeah.
I refused. I refused. I have a profoundly strong inner rebel. And I was just like, no, that's not happening. That is not my plan. We're not doing that. It's not on the to-do list. It's not on the agenda. It's not happening. At that stage, I had 4 adopted children and they were all under the age of 5.
Oh,
It was like, I can't die.
yeah.
I can't die. It's not an option. First of all, these children have already, lost one mother.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let them lose the second. I am not leaving my beloved husband alone with 4 children under the age of 5 to raise. It's not happening. I can't die. So I did a whole bunch of things simultaneously. The first was that I am a highly intellectual person, so I started researching. I started reading everything I could get my hands on. I started looking at how can I help myself. I looked into all the different forms of alternative healing that are available. And I did that not because I didn't want traditional medicine or I'm against traditional medicine, not at all, but because traditional medicine gave me no hope. Traditional medicine, I couldn't find a doctor who would treat me until I found lucky number 13. I literally went to see 12 different doctors in those 3 weeks that I was supposed to be at home making my peace and dying. I went to see 12 different doctors and they all told me the same thing. There's nothing we can do for you. We can't help you. That's it. It's over. And I just went from one doctor to the next, to the next, to the next until I landed with lucky number 13. And he was an absolute angel. And he'd been a oncologist for many, many years. And he leaned across his desk at me and he said, sweetheart, how young are you? I said, I'm 29 and I'm a mom of 4. And he looked at me for a very long time, and he looked down at all my test results, and he said, you know what? Just because of your attitude, we're going to try. And his words were, you're a career-ending case. What I'm going to have to do for you is not, it shouldn't be allowed. Said, I'm going to have to treat you to within inches of your life and then bring you back. And I'm going to have to do it again and again and again. And all I can promise you is we've got a 50-50 chance that you'll respond at all. And if you do, the most I can promise you is 5 years, and then you will get leukemia, guaranteed. There'll be nothing we can do about it because I'm going to throw everything at it now, and that will be it. That will be a death sentence. So I said, well, that's the best odds I've been given in the last 3 weeks, so I'll take them. At least in 5 years' time, my kids are 10.
Right,
you know?
right.
So it was like, all right, we're going to do this. And then I continued while I was going through treatment, while he was looking after me. It was a process of 18 months. I continued to learn and to do everything that I could for myself. I had too much pain. I couldn't eat. I literally did not eat a morsel of food for what was almost 3.5 years. So I got onto every supplement, every vitamin, every natural product you can imagine. I would sit down with a little side plate at night that was nothing but pills and my glass of fruit and veggie juice. And it would literally take me as long to swallow all of them as when it was time to start taking again. And I just built myself up physically, every possible way that I could. But what I discovered in my learning about how to help myself was the incredible philosophy of science of mind. Science of mind, regardless of your religion, regardless of your faith system, it will work no matter what you believe in, because that is what it's based on. It's based on the power of your belief. So I always, the way that I phrase it is all power to the purple flower. If I believe that all power is in a purple flower and a purple flower can heal me and a purple flower will heal me, then guess what? All power is in the purple flower because I just put it there. And so that purple flower will heal me. And it does. Because what's working is not the purple flower. What's working is my belief in it.
Right.
So it is so critically important that we honor ourselves. We honor what it is that we truly believe in. And I learned to believe in the power of my mind. Yes. I learned to understand just how powerful what I believe about myself actually is. So in terms of my cancer, it was an objective fact that I was dying. It was an objective fact that I had terminal cancer and it was a hopeless case. But I did not let that become my truth. My truth was, and still is to this day, that I am perfectly healthy. I am healed, healthy, and whole. And any appearance of any distortion or any disease in my body is vanished because I know that I am healed, I'm healthy, and I'm whole. And so 20 years later, a girl is almost 50. I'll be 50 in October. 20 years later, and another visit from 2 more cancers in between, I'm still here and I'm thriving. And it is all down to what I have practiced in terms of healing, whether that's psychically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. It has all worked together to keep me here and to keep me well.
It's a really powerful story.
Thank you. And that's my message. No matter what, whatever the area of your life is, there is so much hope. You have no idea. We don't have to suffer from anything, ever. There is not a single disease or condition on this planet, did you know this, that is 100% fatal. Somewhere in the world, there is someone who has healed themselves of absolutely everything. So if one can do it, anyone can. It is always possible. I mean, I haven't just healed from the cancers that I've had. I've also healed from the result of the treatment that I had to receive. So, for example, one of the chemotherapy drugs that I had to go on, its main side effect is severe neuropathy. And so I had to sign forms to agree to the fact that I would totally lose the use of my hands, like completely. That would be it. I would never be able to use my hands. So I signed the form, and at the same time, I was like, no, that's not going to happen. My hands are protected. My hands will be fine. And so all that I did was I forced myself to write things out by hand all day, every day. When I wasn't doing that, I was knitting. When I wasn't doing that, I was peeling and chopping veggies. I used my hands all day, every day, and I just pushed through the pain. And to this day, my hands are still fine. I was supposed to go deaf, completely deaf. And I'm very hard of hearing, but I'm not deaf. So every now and then I have to read your lips to make out what you're saying. And I still say that if I wasn't such a newbie at this, at the time that was going to be the side effect, I probably could have protected myself better. If I was told that something like that today, I know more about the power of my own belief. So I would have attached to that even less, and I would have manifested that even less. But yes, we're still here and we can still hear.
So I just caught the word attached. Can you go into that a little bit more?
Attaching is nothing more than when we take something that is external to ourselves and identify with it. Mm-hmm. It is not ours until we do that. Anything that is coming even from within our body, as soon as we attach to it, we've identified with it. So, for example, I will say, I have had cancer, or there was the following cancer in my body, or at the moment, my body is suffering from X, Y, or Z, even though suffering is not a good word to ever use. I would not say, I have cancer, my cancer, or my this, or I am a such and such sufferer. To identify with something is to make it ours, and then it basically has an energetic foundation within our system, and that latches on. And then it becomes very difficult to release that. It takes a lot of practice from a belief system point of view to let go of that identification. And that is the problem with labels of disease, labels of conditions. They all have that attachment power.
I couldn't agree more. And I am a huge proponent of not owning a diagnosis. You know, so many people, they want to get all kinds of tests to figure out what's wrong, and they need that diagnosis so they know what they're dealing with so they can heal it. And to a degree, I do understand that. I do.
It's necessary,
really,
yes.
Yeah, you know, you want it to, in order to win the battle, you want to know what you're dealing with, right? But
yes.
There's a big but there. The minute that you receive a diagnosis, there's the golden opportunity to own it. And then, like you said, it literally falls right into our energy field, and we own that vibration, and we own that energy, and then we own that diagnosis. And a lot of people own that diagnosis so strongly, they make a persona out of it. And they're, you know, they kind of wear it as their label and as their thing that they put out into the world. And I just think that's a lot of investment. And
that's one of the reasons, Laurie, you know, social media marketing strategies and things like that would inform me, for example, to brand myself as that cancer girl or some version of that.
Yeah.
But I refuse to do that, because I'm not going to put that label, that definition, and that confinement on myself. Because first of all, I'm so much more than that one experience. I am not the perpetuation of the story. I am the story that comes after. I am the story about your victory, your hope, and your power. So I don't even want to identify as a past cancer. It's all still attached to the idea of having had the disease. So as long as you can tell that story and not feel anything about it, there's no emotion, then you know you're unattached, then you know you're unidentified. But the moment you feel something, or you feel like you're in need of sympathy or attention or validation for that story, that's when you can know that there is attachment of some kind. And I always say a diagnosis should be used for one purpose and one purpose only. And that is to find out what the objective fact is. And the only reason why you want to know what the objective fact is so that you know exactly which higher personal truth to choose. And that is what you must identify with. That is what you must attach to, is what are you going to make your higher personal truth in the light of this factual diagnosis.
Can we go into that a little bit? Let's say somebody doesn't really know what their diagnosis is and they can't really get one. Maybe they don't want to, or maybe they've tried a lot and they just can't find a diagnosis.
Then what I would advise is that you would choose a personal truth based around the symptoms of how you're feeling. So make a list of the symptoms of what it is that you're going through and what you think that would look like as a fact. And then find a way to find a higher truth about that. So in other words, just to use a simple example, something like saying, I'm tired. Oh, I'm so tired. I had such a hard day today. I'm exhausted. I've got no strength. I've got no energy. Those are all facts and they're valid. But do you want to feel that way? Do you want that to be true? So the first highest version of fixing that would be to rather say, I feel like I have a lot of tiredness in my body right now. It's just a feeling. It's not reality. It's only right now. It's not forever. I'm already in the energy of this is passing. I'm not attached to it. So then I can choose a higher truth about it to say, I am an eternal, immortal, energetic being. I can't ever be tired. My energy is constantly replenished. I'm always full of vigor and vitality and the fullness of life. I glow, I bubble, I'm restored. You understand? There's no limit to the new truths that I can put on top of those facts.
I love that.
Because who we are in our essence has no limit.
True. Absolutely true. Infinite possibilities, right?
Yes. And the thing is not to, one of my side effect symptoms was a good decade of literally having fibromyalgia.
Mm-hmm.
I blew up like a beach ball. I was enormous. I could not lose a single kilogram. I think because I didn't eat anything for so long, my metabolism just went boop, dead.
Yeah.
So I blew up. I was in so much pain all the time. I couldn't lose any weight, but I just kept myself in a place where I was grateful just to still be here.
Yeah.
Even though it's in this condition, I wanted to still be here, and I am. So I'm thankful. And then no matter what that mirror is telling you, whether it's the mirror that's reflecting your body or the mirror that is our lives, that is reflecting our state of being, stop believing the mirror. The mirror is showing you what you need to change. It's not true. It's not real. It's a reflection, and you can change it just like that. Start believing and aligning with what you want to be true for you. And it must be reflected in your world. It must be, because that is just the way it works. We call it magic. We call it miracles, but it's not. It's just physics.
Mm-hmm. Or people
it's
call
just
it
how, yes,
or
things
people
come
call
into
it
being.
manifestation, right? And
Yes.
like you said, it really is, in my opinion, it really is tapping into the quantum field. How do you see it?
Absolutely. But the fact is we don't do that sometimes because we want to, and other times not. We're doing it all the time. Everything is a manifestation. We are always channeling from the quantum field. We can't not. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for that mechanism. So we're always doing it. But the question is, are we doing it by choice? Are we doing it in line with our desires? Are we doing it from some default program? Or just in general, a state of unawareness where we don't know what we're doing? So the mirror keeps trying to show us what we're doing and what we're bringing into manifestation. And that's the only reason it exists, is so that we can recognize it.
I can't even tell you how much I love this conversation. I'm almost speechless because to me, this is the juice of life right here.
Yes.
Understanding that we do have all of the power, but we have to be aware. We have to use intent, and we really have to kind of unlearn everything we've learned and relearn that it can be really simple. It can be as simple. And I kind of joke, you take out that monkey mind, put it in the back of the bus and tell it to sit down and be quiet, and really harness your other mind, the other mind that is always connected to, like you said, whatever it is that you want to call it. If you want to call it God or Buddha or a source or whatever it is that you want to call it, we are connected in the quantum unified field. And I still struggle. I'm not going to joke like I've got it all figured out. I still struggle all the time with, okay, monkey mind's driving the bus again. Shift over to the infinite possibility mind. And what for people who are kind of
for that, the bridge for that is to understand where all power on a mental level lies. All power on the mental level is in your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
And you are the key. You are the portal. You've been given the tool called your awareness and conscious choice to literally access that power and ask it. Ask it. All knowledge is there. Show me why this. Show me what that. Tell me the answer to X, and it will. Our only job is to stay aware of what it starts showing us. Yeah. Synchronicities and answers will show up all the time, everywhere, all around you, until you get the message. But we waste it. We have this incredible resource inside of ourselves and we don't use it. And that is the bridge. If at any point you find the monkey mind, like you say, or the preconditioning or pre-programming is running the show, when you tell it to shut up and you don't know why it managed to get its hands on the steering wheel again, ask your subconscious mind, why was that brain in control? Why was that program running right now? What triggered that? And your subconscious will bring to your awareness what it is. And then once again, there's something that you can heal and let go of. There's something that you can replace with your own higher truth, because it will show you. And the thing is, it doesn't have to feel like work. It doesn't have to feel hard at all, because it's literally a simple shift. The minute that we access that dimension in which everything is already contained, we've just shifted our awareness into it. It's all already there. There's no work for us to do. Our only job is to connect to it, access it, and stay connected to that, and then pull it in. Pull it in. Hold it within your own energy field. Integrate it into your own body. The cells in your body have intelligence. Instruct them. Tell them what to do. That I trust in the innate intelligence in every cell of my body. Access, harness, integrate, and hold the energy that I need now for my wellness. And your body will do it for you. We want to think that it's work. We want to make it difficult. It doesn't ever have to be. Come back to trust. Come back to trust. We have all the mechanisms. We have all the power within us. Just choose to be aware of them.
So for somebody very, very new who's sort of grasping what you're saying, but doesn't quite get it, I would assume that if you start working with this person, you show them, you walk them through how to start accessing that. And I think the hardest part in our world is staying there. You know, you said we have to stay there and start, you know, really cultivating that energy within our field and within our body. That's where I struggle the most, is staying there. And you know, like I said, I'll notice that my mind just took off like a freight train, and I can come back, but I do struggle with staying there, because life, you know, life is kind of like popcorn. There's stuff going on all the time. How do you stay there? I mean, I know a lot of it is practice, and you've had 20 years to practice, right? But how do you stay there?
Well, look, on a mental and an emotional and a spiritual and an energetic and a psychic level, it's practice.
Yeah.
But on an essence level, who you are in the core of your being, that's where you find states of being. And states stay. States don't go away. States are not subject to what's happening outside. States are not influenced by thoughts, by feelings, by moods, by happenings, by problems, by distractions. A state is literally where you can live, as long as you consciously choose to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So which states are available to you is going to depend on the composition of your entire energy field. So if you're thinking very negative thoughts, and you're feeling very down, and physically you're ill, and you spiritually, you don't know what you're attached to. You don't know where your foundation or your strength is. Psychically, you haven't processed your wounds and your trauma. Those are all very low frequencies that aren't going to be able to access a very high state of being.
Right.
But nonetheless, you are a sovereign, free will being, and you can use your agency to choose. Choose the highest state that you can reach for. Even if in any terrible moment, the highest state you can access is acceptance. Acceptance is a state that will stay. And the more you allow yourself to stay in acceptance, gradually, you'll find yourself shifting up to hope. And hope is a state that will stay. And the longer you stay in hope, the more you find yourself now able to access trust, possibility, potential. These are states, and that's how we climb. So for me, yes, I practice, but I stay in a state of my true essence. I stay in love. I stay in bliss. I stay in peace. I stay in joy. The minute something wants to come that is not that, I transmute it. I change it into what I want it to be, because this is my life. And I am the only authority in my life. So some negativity or some disaster or some crisis or some panic or something wants to come at me, I stop it in its tracks and go, no, my energy field is shielded. I am love, I am light, and I am peace. So whatever this is happening out there. I'm not moved by appearances, so the appearances must move, because they have no power over me unless I give it to them. And that's what we unconsciously do all the time. Instead of harnessing our power for ourselves, we give it away to things outside of ourselves instead. And we empower all of those things instead of empowering ourselves.
It's so true. I hope people watching this understand how powerful this talk is.
I hope so too.
I really do.
That is my passion.
It's such a powerful conversation. I hope people really hear your words, because this is all of life right here. This is
We're never going to get away from the contrast we must experience. No one is ever going to live a perfect life in which bad things never happen and
right.
sad things don't occur and people aren't uncontrollable and there isn't politics and economies and Lord knows what all. No one's ever going to live that life here in 3D. But you can and you should. and you must create your own Eden inside of your own energy field, because that is your divine right. And so you can move unchallenged through all that chaos that is happening external to you and view it as the observer of, ah, this has just arrived in my reality. What do I want to do with it? People often talk about the duality spectrum of reaction versus response. That in those few little split seconds, we have a choice to react from the autonomic nervous system and come from fight or flight or fear or fawn, or to choose our response instead. And what I'm offering is something that is higher than both of them. Don't react and don't respond. View and transmute. Make it what you want it to be. That is our power. And if all we can change it into is this sad thing is happening out there, I can send my compassion and my empathy to it. I can give it love. I can make whatever difference I'm physically able to make. But it does not impact me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to learn how to do that. As a person who's highly empathic, I had to learn how to shield my energy field.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very big part of what made me so sick for so long in the first place, was the ability to allow all these external things to come into your energy field like a toxin and pollute it. And we all, to some extent, have toxins and pollutants emotionally, psychically, historically, in our own energy field that we already have to work with. Never mind having constantly added to ourselves from outside in addition to that. And that is why so many people feel stuck and they don't know where to begin. It's like, girl, you're telling me I'm powerful, but man, I don't feel it because look at all this. So take your attention away from that and bring it back to your heart. Bring it back to your essence. Bring it back to the truth. That's where your power is.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
I highly recommend that they follow you because your content is very uplifting, but it isn't just about feeling good, right? It isn't just about reading a post and feeling uplifted. I think if people really pay attention to your words, they can also elevate. They can raise their vibration.
Yes.
And the more and more and more they get practice with that, the more that they can find that state, right?
The things that I share online, I try to make step-by-step instruction processes. So it's not just something I'm saying, so like you say, that you can feel better, but it's something I'm sharing that you can learn how to do and hopefully practice for yourself. And it's powerful because it's true. And it is the truth that's going to work. It's the truth that's going to create the change. I'm just a channel for it. I'm just a vessel that it's flowing through. And so that's my gift to give. And all I can do is do my best to give it.
Well, I think you're doing a smashing job.
Thank you for connecting with Light for Life. If you appreciate reminders, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can receive those notifications. If you would like to work with one of us, you can find our contact information in the About section of this channel.
Yes, thank you for connecting with Light for Life. Please share your insights, your questions, and your comments with us in the comment section below. We value your feedback. And we really hope that we will see you for our next episode. We upload one every Thursday. Until then, bye-bye and be joyful.
Until we connect again, we send you love and light.